You have to hold people accountable. So now we come full circle back to having the uncomfortable conversation. Sometimes it's not easy to hold someone accountable. We just agreed that there are people who are fully convinced that correction is hating, fully convinced that whatever raggedy justification they come up with is good enough, fully convinced that your response is the problem, but not their behavior. And still, not calling it out only furthers the thinking and the behavior. That's a public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something. So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion, no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Can y'all see my shirt? Later. Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to another episode of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, Passion, no last necessary, your Get You Right Guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I have observed or was on my mind today. You get no pomp, you get no circumstance, you get no set, you get no face. You got an episode though, right? So that's what we're doing. The studio is under construction. And the construction was planned to have been finished before now, and it was not. So, in any event, this is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel what you feel. Same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. If you're new here, affirmations are our first order of business so we can intentionally raise the vibration and start on one accord. Let's get on the same frequency. If you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath. You are always welcome to repeat after me or to use this time to state your own affirmations. I am accountable for my actions. I am open to correction. I am open to change. I am open to improvement. I am doing my best. I am expecting the best. I am holding others accountable for their greatness. I am confident in my decisions. I am dignified in my presentation. I am creating the best environment for myself and those around me. I am well. It is well. All is well. Well is all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Y'all remember in episode 1, I told you that the microphone picks up everything. I was supposed to have recorded earlier, but like I said, the studio's under construction. Things are happening, so I was not able to. I don't know if it's the people upstairs or the people next door, but every time I record, they are listening to music and my microphone picks it up. So today's soundtrack, I don't know if you can hear it, but I can. It's the Fugees, Ready or Not. I am not ready to hear this music soundtracking these episodes. Like, it really be driving me crazy. And so sometimes when you see me cut to and you just see me like smiling and shaking my head, this is what I'm experiencing. Give me heebie-jeebies. But while you imitating Al Capone, I be Nina Simone. That's where it is in the song. Okay, let's get back to the episode. So passionates. In season 6, we did an episode on uncomfortable conversation. And if you're new here, if you missed it, it was episode 3. The link is right here and it's in the description box. We walked away from that episode with some tools. These are some of the ones that I picked out from the episode, right? Depending on what the conversation is, you cannot start it assuming the other person's response. Write that down. Is that the onus isn't on any one person to initiate it. Passion point. Just because that person was emotionally unintelligent, lacked emotional dexterity, lacked emotional stability, or lacked emotional integrity, doesn't mean everyone does. First, have a conversation with yourself. Ask yourself why you're hesitant to have the conversation in the first place. Ask yourself who you're protecting by withholding this information. Passion point. Do not decide whether someone wants to know or not. Let them decide how they're going to navigate it. I rewatched that episode at least 3 times, and it was worth it because it really has some good tools and examples on starting the uncomfortable conversation. So if you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a while, click the link that I just pointed to and watch it, or it'll also be linked at the end of today's episode. What I realized in watching it was that for all the leadership and suggestion that was offered in that episode, there was no direction on how to handle an uncomfortable conversation in the workplace. And as I think of it, that could really be an episode unto itself because a lot of people are interested in opportunities for growth in either their current positions or positions they're applying for. But when you're interested in leadership, knowing how to talk to people will make a lot of the difference in how you're perceived by your staff versus how you see yourself. There's a lot of correction in leadership, and adults are the worst kind of children because they don't listen. So I think at some point we need to revisit this, but that'll be down the line. Today, we're going to see if some of those tools can help one of our fellow passionates. Keep in mind that this is a new passionate, so they may not have seen that episode as yet, just like you've been here since season 1. So the Cliff Notes version of this letter. At Passionate's place of business, there's a document that has to be drafted by their team and presented to the higher ups. The people responsible for creating the document always wait until the last minute to give it to them. It's consistently poorly done, and they're basically left to save the day. It's happened at least 3 times. This time, Passionate let them present it as is, and it was a disaster. So our Passionate's boss tells them they shouldn't have allowed them to present it that way, being that it was being presented to company leadership. The boss's boss said the same thing. The sentiment is protect the team. Passionate feels like it was a good decision because it started a conversation around it. It started an action plan to ensure it doesn't recur. And Passionate wanted to know my take on it. Now, I know that y'all remember the coworker I told you was super obnoxious when I corrected them on something, so I decided I just wouldn't correct them going forward. I just let them be wrong. And when they realized that they had been saying something wrong and they asked me why I didn't correct them, I told them directly, well, you were so nasty and disgusting the last time I corrected you. I made a decision that I would never correct you again. So y'all know I'm all the way team passionate on this one, okay? The first time you come to me at the last minute, okay, maybe something happened why you didn't come to me before. But there should never have been a second time for the same thing. Here's why. If this is something that has to be done, let's say annually, then the people responsible for putting this document together knew from the previous submission how long it took to create the document. Now, let's say it takes a month to put the document together and the document is due January 31st. If it took you a month to put it together and it takes 3 hours to present it, how much time should a proofreader have to review it and give it back to you so you can make the corrections and they can review it again? How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck? So if you give it to me at the last minute, you leave me to proofread and correct it and do a rush job. How many people like other people to bring them additional work? Nobody. How many people like when people bring them extra work at the last minute? No one, no one, no one. So if you wouldn't like someone to do that to you, why would you do it to someone else? If you don't like when your coworkers do it to you, what would make you think your supervisor would like it? If you don't like it when your supervisor does it to you, what would make you think that your supervisor would like for you to do it to them? Like, how in your mind does that translate to your supervisor giving you a good review down the line. That's hustling backwards. To give me work at the last minute so I can fix it so you don't look bad, and then you bring me more mediocrity and expect me to keep doing the fixing, that's a negative. We're not doing that. And if it means that grown people get embarrassed by their own handiwork, heavy on their own handiwork, well, they got what they earned. Now, I was going to leave it there, right? But then I said, let's dig a little bit deeper. Waiting until the last minute is a complete lack of respect for the other person's time and how they either need or want to use it. That should be understood, but repetition is how we learn. Okay, bigger than the disrespect of time, it is literally doing physiological damage. Stress is actually a killer. Like, that's an actual documented fact. So when you wait until the last minute, you're raising adrenaline, you're raising cortisol. And while it's not that deep to you, do you know anyone with cardiac issues? Because I do. Do you know anyone with arthritis? Because I do. Do you know anyone who gets stress headaches? I do. So you show up at the last minute with something that needs time to be corrected, but no real time to correct it. And because you've seen this person pull a rabbit out of a hat repeatedly, you think nothing of the impact that it's having. Meanwhile, the stress causes them a stress headache, the anxiety elevates their heart rate, and the cortisol being released from the stress is causing inflammation, which is causing joint pain from the arthritis. So you've literally sent their body into trauma because of your inefficacy.
Passion, don't you think that's extreme?
You ever see someone having an anxiety attack? Have you ever had an anxiety attack? A heart attack? A stroke? Some of y'all are barely out your 20s, ooching and ouching every time you stand up, squat down, or bend over. Can you imagine how much worse for someone when the pain is so extreme you can't operate your joints properly? The joints that move everything else? You don't think that's extreme? You know how many people have tried to argue me down about what my name is because they never actually knew my correct name? People don't even know public information about the people they work with. You think they would know someone's medical record?
But exactly, Passion, so how would I know me bringing them something a little late did all that?
That's just it. You don't need to know. What did we say last week? Preventative beats reparative any and every day. So not bringing something at the last minute on the least extreme end, that's you not being inconsiderate. And on the most extreme end, that's you not contributing to someone's health issues.
Well, Passion, you give me work at the last minute all the time.
You're right. And you're always mad about it, right?
As I should be.
Exactly my point. If I give you an episode to edit at the last minute and it doesn't get done in time to post it for our scheduled airing, the accountability belongs to me because had I done my part, you could have done yours.
That's fair.
So Passionate, I get why your supervisors feel like you should protect the team, but people don't learn by other people continuously covering for them. They become dependent on other people covering for them. Here's what the bosses clearly overlooked. If, for any reason, you're away when this document has to be presented in the future, you can't protect them. So their failure would have caught up to them eventually. It's easy to put the blame on you because you're there. But if at any point you're not, the same work still has to be done. So remember last week I said you don't get better at a thing by not doing it. They don't get better with this document by you saving the day. And I know somebody saying,
well, Passionate could have said something because they knew they didn't want to do it at the last minute.
and there are 3 considerations for that. Number 1, Passionate actually should only have to peruse it and say,
okay, let's go knock this presentation out.
So they shouldn't have to request it in advance. It should already be up to snuff. Number 2, and this is probably a passion point that I didn't think of when I was composing this, but if you need help, it is not the job of the person you need help from to come and ask you if you need help. It's not their responsibility to volunteer their time to ensure that you're doing your work correctly. And number 3, we don't know if Passionate did say something, but even if they didn't, the fact that it's a repeat occurrence means you knew better and you chose not to do better. And what if Passionate did say something and the response was, okay, but then it was still delivered at the last minute? Sometimes you can show a person better than you can tell them. A lot of people are doing their least and or their worst. And when you tell them what they can do better and how they can do it better, some nod, agree, and continue being mediocre. And some are convinced that anyone that's not complimenting them is hating on them. So you have to let them hear it from someone else and potentially get embarrassed. So now you see what you've been showing up with was never good enough. It was never the standard for the people to whom you need to present it. And if you don't want to get embarrassed like that again, you're going to have to do a better job. You. Not me. Does that mean I'm not willing to help? Not at all. But I'm not interested in scrambling. We talked about that last week, right? Friend one didn't give me the information I would need when requested and decided I could wait. Why am I supposed to scramble? Because you're not moving with urgency for your outing. You have to hold people accountable. So now we come full circle back to having the uncomfortable conversation. Sometimes it's not easy to hold someone accountable. We just agreed that there are people who are fully convinced that correction is hating, fully convinced that whatever raggedy justification they come up with is good enough, fully convinced that your response is the problem, but not their behavior. And still, not calling it out only furthers the thinking and the behavior.
Passion, I'm so non-confrontational, and especially now, I don't have the bandwidth for the argument.
Well, baby, either you're going to make time to address a problem or you're going to spend time putting up with the problem. The choice is yours. What I've realized over the last few months is that I'm in a season of confrontation. And believe it or not, I'm extremely non-confrontational.
Don't believe the hype.
I know people don't believe that because the assumption often is that if you're good at arguing, debating, or defending a point or yourself, it's because you're generally a confrontational person. I'm good at debate because I'm a good listener. I think before I speak and I can back up what I say, not because I like to fight or argue. The physiological impact that we talked about before, I experience it. So I'm speaking from the inside of it, not just as the observer, not all of the things, but enough of them. Point is, Act Now has been our theme so far for 2026, for season 8, for season 8 for real this time, and even the first attempt at season 8, right? So if I'm gonna act now, then this is the time for me to confront things. Professional example. I had a coworker that everyone complained about. People tried to drop little hints here and there, but they were content in their ways and oblivious to the hints. I had my fair share of complaints about them as well. At one point, I told them outright, there are a lot of complaints about your work ethic, and those complaints have gone up the chain, so you'd better make some adjustments. We had all been uncomfortable with the poor performance. We had all been complaining. But I took action. I did something about it. Now, did things get drastically better? Not really. But if the hammer ever falls and they get a write-up or worse, they can never say no one said anything.
But Passion, why was that even a big deal?
I'm not their supervisor. So me addressing their shortcomings and the fact that people are talking about them, that could have turned into an HR circus. But something had to be done, so I called it out. Personal example. I had a situation with a friend one time where I was going through it real bad. And the shortest version is that I reached a breaking point with their lack of presence and showing up, and I called it out. When I reached out to them, what I'd shared with them, how they responded, time frames, acknowledgement of what they had going on, what I was feeling, why I was feeling it. I acted on it. I called it out. Their response, for the most part, they took accountability. They made some justifications and gave themselves some grace here and there, but they took accountability. Passion point. You can't expect anyone to take accountability for anything they don't know or believe they're accountable for. If you don't call it out specifically, a whole lot of people will play dumb and say,
Well, I didn't know.
or
How was I supposed to know?
passion point. The more specific your issue, the more specific your supporting evidence should be. I know somebody that when you call them out, their first response is to deny, defend, and or try to flip it on you. When that doesn't work, oh, please believe. Please believe. They come in with the 5 W's.
Who said that? When did I say that? Where'd you get that from? What specifically were we talking about? Why you bringing this up now?
The strategy is either to convince you misunderstood, you understood but you're taking it out of context, or to otherwise manipulate you. I actually know a couple of people who do that. The point is, show up prepared to support your claim, be prepared for defense and counter argument, and have a clear, objective passion point. There's a difference between calling something or someone out just to blow up their spot and calling it out to correct or improve a behavior. Our passionate had a clear objective and made an informed decision when choosing not to do the work for the team. The action led to the problem being called out. The action led to the people responsible for the problem being unable to deny their part in it because the critique, the criticism, the confrontation didn't come from our passionate. It came from above. The pushback came from passionate supervisors, and passionate accepted their part in it while being able to support their decision. Passion point, accountability goes both ways. I'm sure we've talked about it before, either directly or indirectly, but it can never be said too many times that the same way you want and need to hold others accountable is the same way you have to be prepared to be held accountable. Everybody has to accept their part in it. People around you continue to be problematic because you either continue to allow them around you or you continue to endorse their problematic behavior. And yes, and again, silence is endorsement. You continue to be problematic because someone hasn't told you to take a long walk off a short cliff, or because they choose passivity over confrontation. Something I want you to think about, passionates. For all the work that we've done in 8 seasons, do you honestly feel like you can handle being called out? Like, would you respond favorably, or could you be dignified, not professional, because a lot of folks' version of professional is just as raggedy and uncouth as their everyday communication in non-professional environments. Could you be dignified in your response, or are you still reacting? And do you know why you're responding or reacting the way you are? Put a bookmark there, because we're going to come back to this question next week with what I believe is our final Act Now installment, but there might be one more. Passionate, I hope I answered your question thoroughly, if not succinctly. I know from personal experience that pushback, unresponsiveness, and disagreement can cause you to second guess yourself. But in your case especially, the results speak for themselves. The fact that your decision not only started the conversation, but affected change toward correction and immediately, that's a testament unto itself. Thank you for enlisting my opinion and giving the rest of the passionate family something to consider. For the rest of the passionates, if you have questions that you would like answered on an episode or as an episode, listener letters can be sent to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. Concerns, comments, and commendations can be left in the comment section below. Donations can be made via Linktree, Zelle, or PayPal. Links are in the description box. That's it for today. You Get You Right Guru is signing off. Y'all go forth. Be great. Be filled with bliss. Be armed and empowered with knowledge. Hold them accountable. Be willing to be held accountable. Call out the thing that needs to be addressed and answer the call in truth when it's your turn. In all things, be passionate. See you later.